Hello, everyone. My name is Florence Marr, and I am the organizer of this event on behalf of the Rotary Peace Fellowship Alumni Association. The Rotary Peace Fellowship Alumni Association is a group of Rotary Peace Fellow alumni and supporters from all across the world. And we are so happy to have you with us today to hear voices from across Oceania discussing experiences of climate change. So this event is anticipated to be 90 minutes. So first, we will have some opening remarks from our partner at UNITAR. Then we will hear from our 4 featured speakers from across Oceania. And then we will go into breakout sessions. So in the breakout session, you'll be randomly put into a group with one of the speakers, and you'll have 20 minutes to have a more intimate, free-flowing conversation with the speakers. We have several volunteers on the call who will help guide those discussions. So when you go into the breakout room, the discussion volunteer will help you get some instructions to guide those. If you have any questions, you can write in the chat box to our Zoom host. Look for Rotary Peace Fellows Alumni Association. And I also want to note that we are recording this event and broadcasting it live on Facebook. However, the breakout sessions will not be recorded and will not be broadcast. I want to thank the partners who've helped make this event possible. Thank you to UNITAR, to the Red Dot Foundation, the Australian Lutheran World Service, and the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Papua New Guinea. And also thank you to our many volunteers across the world who have dedicated several hours to organizing this event. And mostly thank you to our speakers, who you're going to hear more about from our moderator very soon, for donating time and energy to be with us here on a Saturday. Many of them have traveled or made sacrifices to be available online for this event. So now I want to introduce our partner, Junko Shimazu from UNITAR, who's going to give brief opening remarks. And then we will turn it over to our moderator, Yunichka, to introduce our featured speakers. Junko, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you hear me okay? Okay, good afternoon and greetings from Hiroshima, Japan. It is a pleasure to be here today. I'm Junko Shimazu, Training Associate of the UNITAR Hiroshima office. Today, October 24th, is known as the International Day of Climate Action and also the United Nations Day. And I'm very honored to be able to participate and speak at this wonderful event bearing witness of climate change, Voices from the Pacific. I would like to start by expressing my respect to the initiatives taken by the Rotary Peace Fellowship Alumni Association. The Rotary Peace Fellowship Alumni Association is very active in organizing various events, and its thematic areas widely ranges from Global Cyber Peace Conference to peace events featuring atomic bomb survivors in Japan. All these topics are critical in bringing changes and peace to the future. I also believe that in this rapidly changing world, the initiatives led by young volunteers, such as the Rotary Peace Fellowship Alumni Association, will be more and more important to respond quickly to the trend and needs of the world. And each and every one of these initiatives are making a great difference globally. UNITAR has been carrying out the tsunami-based disaster risk reduction training program, focusing on women's empowerment and a social inclusion in the Pacific region since 2016. So far, 123 women completed our training program, and I'm very excited to announce the 5th cycle is about to start in 2 weeks, inviting 100 women online. As UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said on the International Day of Disaster Risk Reduction of 13th October 2017, the poor and most vulnerable, including women and girls, suffer disproportionately in disasters. It will be a key to enhance the resilience of community and society by supporting vulnerable people, not only just as care receivers, but by providing them knowledge to support themselves and other community members in case of emergency. We need to do much more than to understand the vulnerability, but also the capacity of the people in the community across the Pacific and the Oceanian region. The ability to understand better the experience, expertise, and wisdom of these people around the Pacific and Oceania will be a big step forward to fight against climate change and to build resilience against natural and biological hazards together. In that sense, this event will be a great opportunity to hear the direct voices from the Pacific. I know we have outstanding speakers from the Pacific and Oceanian region today, and eager to hear from them about their experience and expertise. I'm confident today's session will provide new findings that will benefit everyone participating today. Again, I would like to acknowledge the leadership of the Rotary Peace Fellowship Alumni Association, which truly strengthen the interconnectedness in humanity, and UNITAL Hiroshima office fully support this initiative. Let's continue to push forward and work together to make this world a better place. Thank you very much today.
Thank you, Junko-san. My name is Jung Nikski. I'll be moderating the session and introducing the speakers. But before I begin, I'll invite Elsa Marie, who is a Rotary Peace Fellow and a founding board member of the Rotary Peace Fellowship, to show us and speak about the results from our poll.
Thanks, Jung. So it's really interesting to see who's with us today. And we have about 10% who are Rotarians, but the majority are people who are not Rotarians or Rotary Peace Fellows. So welcome everyone to our event. And most people are curious, so that's great. So happy, excited, and curious is the, the mood in the room today. And a lot of people are here to learn, and also they recognize that they may not be an expert, but know enough to make lifestyle changes. So we are very excited because this is a very important conversation. And hopefully the testimonies from our speakers will encourage us to be greater advocates of climate change. And what's even more exciting is that 64% of people are here for the first time at an RPFAA event. So welcome everyone. We regularly host these results, and keep a lookout for more. Thank you. Over to you, Jung.
Thank you, Elsa. Welcome everyone. My name is Jung Nikski. I'm a Rotary Peace Fellow and currently I reside in South Australia. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, who has travelled with his team for a long way from the Southern Highlands of Papua New Guinea to Lae, which is the location where he's streaming and joining us from today. So Reverend Tande Tombo is a pastor and a district president of the Emmanuel District of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Papua New Guinea. He has served the church as a pastor for 31 years after graduating from the seminary in 1989. Before his call to serve in the church, he worked as a Bible translator for Summer Linguistic Institute in Papua New Guinea. Please welcome Reverend Tande. Fortunately, I think we have some internet connection issues with PNG. So in the meantime, I'll see if Florence is able to share the screen with everyone.
Yeah, can you see the screen is sharing for the PowerPoint? Is this displaying correctly? You should see a map of Papua New Guinea.
Can you open it to full screen? We can see your whole desktop.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I will see.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes, excellent.
Wonderful. I'll go through the slides silently because I don't have the, and then we can see if Reverend Tande is able to join us.
Hi everyone, sorry, we just had a blackout, so it kind of affected our internet connection. So we're just coming back. So Reverend Tande will continue with this presentation. Thank you.
Please continue when you're ready, Reverend Tande.
Hello. Sorry,
Yes, we
our
can-
apology. We were just off by our power system here. I think that's another disaster here. Okay, so we set up our committee in place to how we can manage and to restore ourselves. So we were partner with our headquarters here in Papua New Guinea, which is Lutheran Church, and all our partners as Salvation Army and some other more. Okay, so there we were planning to, we made a mapping, and from there we plan to, we made our mapping here. Okay, from there we were to identify all our, we were affected. So we plan to seed bank and food. That's our priority. So we need to make water. Also, our waters were been affected, and it was by disaster, earthquake. So we make water well here, and then that's a project. It's going on. We need to train our people in our villages. We can build our own water well to drink water from the well. Okay, then we need to build our houses. So we have we need to partner with the people. With here you can see education. We partner with education department in our province, in our country, to build a classroom here. So and also to build some clinics. Okay, then we train people to how they can plant their own rice and potatoes and bud onions. So you can see we are training people to take ownership and participate in to produce their own food and help share with others. What else? Yeah. So that's a project which is going on. So it's a livelihood project. So we are trying to share our and our knowledge, and that you can see when we cut tree, we need to plant another tree again. So okay, you can see here, that's our closing part for people participate in all trainings, coming together to close up our project. Okay. Within this time, there were, in our implementation program, there's all total of, so far within 2 years, we have trained and then share our experience, 353, including men, women, and everybody participate to share our experience and then to build our community again. So far we have 353 participants. Yeah, that's a member project you can see, project site.
June, do we have enough time to continue or?
Mary, we've got time for one last point, and we can continue the conversation in the breakout rooms with Reverend Tende and his team.
Okay, just go back to the go back to the next the previous slide. Okay, Reverend Tande will just discuss that one and then finish. No, come back again. The other slide, that one. Okay,
Okay. You know, we want partnership to share some of our experience and our knowledge and the resources we have. We need to share with. So, yeah. So we partner with our education department in our country and also with our.
Sorry, go back to the previous slide, the previous one, that one. Thanks.
So in our partnership, we focus on the community benefit, which is education, and then also health services. That's our priority, where everybody can benefit. And then the second priority we put in the house, a family home, and the church and others. So we have 3 Lucas Mill, which is a sawmill to cut timber, so to support, to rebuild houses and schools and clinics and others. I think that's all. And then thank you so much.
Thank you, Reverend Tende. We'll be able to continue the discussion with you in our small breakout groups. I would like to introduce our second speaker, Mr. Tatawe Paisley, who currently resides in New Zealand, but was born and bred on Tuvalu's capital atoll of Funafuti. He is a teacher and a disaster management specialist and a former Secretary General of the Tuvalu Red Cross Society. He has a background in disaster response and climate change awareness and adaptation. Thank you, Mr. Tatawa. We would love to hear more from you.
Good evening from Aotearoa and Talofa. Thank you for the opportunity. I think I will acknowledge my appreciation for Rotary Peace Fellowship for the opportunity, and Mr. Tom for introducing me and inviting me to be part of this Zoom presentation, and I'm very happy to share my story and my experience of the climate change in Tuvalu. As I mentioned in my introduction of myself, I was a teacher, and I have worked as a climate change officer for the Tuvalu Red Cross, and have worked nationally, which on all the islands, which that opportunity allowed me to reach the whole islands of Tuvalu and work with the community and hear their stories, and also work together with them in adaptation projects and how to bring up their level of resiliency to combat the impact of climate change, which they are experiencing every day. As you have known, that Tuvalu is a, I'm sorry I don't have a presentation. It would be better to have a presentation to show you the footage and photos of Tuvalu, but I didn't prepare one. But as you know, probably some people doesn't know that Tuvalu is a low-lying atoll like Kiribati and some other atolls, a very small and very at high risk. And so the main issue in Tuvalu is the sea level rise, which is affecting the coast of all the islands. Cyclones are the most frequent problems that are affecting us. Droughts and and all other sources problems that are associated with these issues that we have highlighted. So with the issue of cyclones, being I am now in my late 40s. So I came to New Zealand in 2014. So I've been here for 5 years. I haven't been back. But all those times, I truly experience and see the changes in Tuvalu. And yeah, there are evidence, solid evidence that can be shared, and which I have shared as well in the meetings that I have attended in the past. When I was with the Red Cross, I was a founding member of the Tuvalu Climate Action Network, which I know some of the presenters tonight are part of that as well, which I'm not sure I have met them, but I know them through correspondence. Pelenise Alafa from Kiribati, and which we have worked a lot with the Tuvalu Climate Action Network, with the other NGOs in Tuvalu in trying to coordinate the different projects. And so with cyclones, that was one thing that I can tell you the difference. Like we always have a cyclone season, in which when I was young, we celebrate Christmas always wet, because that's the season from October until February or March. That is always, but mainly during Christmas time, that is always the heavy rainfall time. It's always wet. As I grew up, I became a man, and then now, it's not happening that way at all. It can be heavily raining during the whole, and a cyclone comes in the middle of the year. Before cyclones usually just happen during Christmas time. That is the time where we always prepare ourselves, and our young boys will go house to house to help put up cyclone shelters, traditional cyclone shelters for each house, our neighbors, in those times. Now we hardly do that because it can happen anytime during the year. Sometimes it's just not unpredictable. It can happen at any time. And the same with drought. Well, with cyclones, one of the changes that I see, it's getting severe, intensive. Since Hurricane Baby in 1972, I was not born yet, but my mom was one of the survivors, which she got a medal for rescuing a girl and a mother from during that time. So I have a lot of stories about it, and I could just only tell how dangerous it was then. But since the time when I was growing up in Tuvalu, we always have cyclones, but it hasn't got to that severity as the cyclone, as what I have seen. I heard from about the Cyclone Baby. But in 2015, while I was here in New Zealand, Cyclone Pam struck in Tuvalu. And just seeing the videos, it affected most of the islands in Tuvalu, and some of the islands were very badly affected. During the Cyclone Baby in 1972, I think the most of the devastated islands was Funafuti. Excuse me. And Funafuti was the worst one. But for Cyclone Pam, I think 2015 or 16, I can't remember. But yeah, it really worried me, actually, honestly. Looking at the footage and seeing what has actually happened to those islands, even like the graveyards has been eroded into the sea. It was really sad. And that is how severe it is now. With the drought, there hasn't, since Hurricane 1972, Hurricane Baby, there was international help. I think there was other international help as well along the way, but not as big as what was in 2011 when we had the drought. And I think that was our first drought international request for international intervention. I was coordinating the Tuvalu Red Cross drought response, and we had a lot of help from the Australian Red Cross, the International Federation of Red Cross, and some other NGOs. And yeah, we were, I could just tell how bad it is, and being out to some of the outer islands who have asked for requests, and we went there and do our assessments. And I'm very thankful to the response from the international community in helping the Tuvalu Red Cross and the National Disaster Management Office and all the National Disaster Management Committee in their response during that time. It was a good experience, and yeah, a lot of projects came out of it, especially in water, which because. And also, like traditional knowledge was one of the things that was highlighted when we have to work on it, because a lot of just traditional knowledge is already there, and so they just need to be brought out again and shared to the young generations so that they can know and make use of it, documented well. Yeah, and there are capacities that are already there, like in water systems that need to be restored. Renovated, yeah, and everything else. Yeah, so that was a bad one, drought in 2011. Another thing, a long-term problem is the saltwater intrusion. That is one of the things that is really affected my home island. That is where I am from, the capital of Tuvalu, Funafuti. As you all know, that Tuvalu, Funafuti is like a boomerang, very low. At the highest point is about 2 meters, 2 to 3 meters. The highest point, yeah, 2 to 4 meters. But you don't build on those points because you build just 1 meter above. So the actual landing where people are built is about just over 1 meter. So the land underground water is not good. So that was the severity of the drought in Tuvalu, and so we have to use the what you call salt water, and you have desalinators. Yeah, we have to bring in desalinators to assist in with that. And there were a lot of projects that came in building more water tanks and also changing the way to build houses because of the land issue, because it's so small. Tuvalu, yeah, it's very small. So because of the land issue, people have to build houses with the water system underground, and then you build the house on top. Because if you have to put water tanks around it, it will take up the spaces. And lastly, I think one of the main things that I experienced in the discussions and always mentioned in the international community during our conferences and meetings that we attended is the international community always referred as small the Pacific Islands as small islands, and other small islands as well. Small islands. The thing I want to highlight here is the difference between the small islands, which they always use. I want to highlight how small and vulnerable Tuvalu is compared to other countries. The smallness of Tuvalu makes it more at risk. And a person will only understand how small a country is if they go there and see for themselves. Because they can talk about small, they'll compare Tonga to Tuvalu, they'll compare Fiji to Tuvalu, but Tuvalu is nowhere near to the size to those countries. So they all group as small islands, but Tuvalu is very, very vulnerable in terms of national geography setup and size. So that is the one thing that I want to leave you with about Tuvalu, how small it is and the level of vulnerability in comparison to other Pacific countries. I hope my presentation is of use and interest to all of you. And if you have any further question, I am happy to answer them during the discussions. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Tatawa. That was very insightful and a personal account of the situation in Tuvalu. And I would like to move to another very small island state in the Pacific, to Kiribati. So I would like to invite Miss Pelanise Alofa from Kiribati, who's the National Coordinator for the Kiribati Climate Action Network, which is an umbrella NGO in Kiribati. Ms. Pelanise is an active advocate for stopping climate change internationally and in the Pacific region. She is a teacher by profession, and her involvement in education has led to her working with youth and students on climate change programs. Her objective in life is to fully utilise her skills and knowledge to help alleviate poverty and improve the quality of life for the people of Kiribati and more broadly in the Pacific, particularly in the face of climate change. So welcome, Pelanise.
Mallory, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Pelanise.
Thank you. Well, I bring you greetings from Kiribati. And you want to know where Kiribati is? We're just above Tuvalu, very close to the equator. And it's right in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It is small, tiny. You may not be able to see the islands. They are just dots on the map, but there are some very unique features about Kiribati, and you may like to take your time and do a research on this. One is, it's the only country in the world that falls into 4 hemispheres of the world. It's in the north, the south hemisphere, the east, and the west. Why? Because Kiribati has the biggest ocean in the world. So it lies from the east to the west. You just put it across America, almost cover the east to the west of America. That's the size of Kiribati Ocean. It also has the biggest atoll island in the world. It's not an island like Papua New Guinea, the biggest island in the world, but it is the biggest atoll island. Our biggest atoll island is Christmas or Christmas Island, just south of Hawaii. It also has the international deadline that cut across. And so we have an island called the Millennium Island. And so that's a little bit of introduction to Kiribati. And I guess the last one that makes Kiribati unique today is that it is still very authentic. When I said it's authentic, they live in their culture, and they live in their culture and still haven't changed much. If you go to outer islands, people are living in their traditional huts and continues to live that way and enjoy life peacefully. And we are part of the Micronesian islands in the Pacific. And I think of all Micronesian islands, I think Kiribati is still very authentic, like traditionally. They live in their traditional way of lifestyle. So I do not have a presentation to share with you, but I'll talk about my experiences as a community worker on climate change to my people. And I always share 3 words with them. And that is, Te Maori Te Roi Te Tabomoa. It's 3 words that are part of the emblem of our government. Te Maori Te Roi Te Tabomoa, which means good health, peace, and prosperity. Those 3 words are so important to Kiribati. You never change places in those 3 words. You never put prosperity first. or peace first, you always start with the word Maori. And I talk about these three words when I talk about climate change, because so many of us today, our youth, we talk about the Maori Te Rā Te Tabomo, but we do not understand. And so when we have problems like climate change, we do not know how to tackle them, because we thought that money or prosperity come first. So in the Kiribati culture, like when the Maori is what your protection as a Kiribati, your protection, that means your culture, your traditions, your skills, what you're taught at home, those are your protection that gives you good health. And if you are 100% or maybe 90%, or you're strong with that values of the Kiribati values, then you step out of your home and you bring peace, the Maori, to your communities. And when your communities of Kiribati is have peace, then that's when we achieve prosperity. So with these three words, I want to start my conversation with you, like our work with climate change. We want to end poverty. At the same time, we want to stop the climate change. So how can we actually really tackle the problem of climate change? Do we start with the Maori, or do we start with the peace, or do we start, or we approach this problem with prosperity? For us, we realize that we always go back to our traditional values. What is there? What is the Maori in us that we can share to the world so that we can have peace? And one of the things that we've done in Kiribati, we've set up the PIPA, the Pacific, the Phoenix Islands Protectorate Area. That means it's our ocean conservation, our marine conservation. That's our gift, the Maori. It's not about money. We're actually giving a gift to the world. But what is the world giving, to stop the climate change for the people of Kiribati? We realize we cannot keep on asking. We also need to give. And so we've given part of our oceans, and it was a controversy. Many people said, if we give it away, then it will reduce a fish catch in Kiribati and we won't make enough money, because that ocean space is so big that we've given away and conserved and as a protected area. But after a few years, today we are making more fish and we are making more from our fisheries. We used to have like just 50 million or 100 million per annum from fish. And that's our main income for Kiribati. But today, we did it. We gave away the marine for climate change. But today we're getting more than 200 million per annum from the fish, even though, we have a marine conservation protected. So in both ways, they are good. The protected area is actually feeding and providing fish for the whole world. Because when the fish breeds in Kiribati and they move, they don't just stay in Kiribati, they move to other countries, moving to Papua New Guinea, moving to Tuvalu, the Solomons, north of Micronesia. So that's part of what I call the Maori, your values and what you have to tackle your climate change. It's not just about asking for adaptation fund. We need to give, and all of us, we need to give, even Pacific Island countries. That will bring us peace, and eventually we get prosperity. Tuvalu has mentioned the problems that they have. I won't repeat on that because it's exactly the same with us. We have king tides And when cyclones come around in the Pacific, it reaches us. We've never had cyclones before in Kiribati. Tuvalu has had, not Kiribati, but today we are having the impacts of cyclones that happen around the Pacific Ocean. We're actually, what we call it, the rhythms, or what happened in the other countries like Fiji, the Solomons and Vanuatu, the ripples of their cyclone, like a wave, the ripples come to us. But the ripple is supposed to be there, it's just a tiny thing, but for Tuvalu, which is very low, it's huge to us. You know, it come over the islands. And so we have all those, but the question is, what are we doing, you know, as solutions? For Kiribati Climate Action Network, we've decided with our partner, Live and Learn Environmental Education, we share the office here in Kiribati. We've decided we're going to build, or we're going to start a place called a resilient village. And it only came about because there was a place here in Tarawa. Tarawa has more than 50,000, half the population of Kiribati is based here in Tarawa. Then we have this place that have water. You know, when the king tide came, it just came over this place. It's a hotel where I'm sitting right now. Used to be the first private hotel. And it just, water just came through and everyone left this place and this hotel was closed. And last year, in February last year, when water came back again to this place, we actually came and requested the owner and asked the owner, can we come and use that place? And everyone think that we are stupid. Why? And we said, because we are climate change people. We will stop the problem. We will look for the solution to bring that place back into a place that you can live on. And we have a theme that we are not drowning, we are fighting. So what's the point of us running away from this place when the water comes in? So the way to fight is to stop this water coming in. So we came in here last year. We start building seawalls, strengthen the seawalls, doing landfills, and now we're working on projects like water projects and planting the old place. And just last week, more water came in, and we're going to do some more adaptation. So I guess for all of us in the Pacific, we do have problems with climate change, but the solution is in our hands. We turn around and run, or we stand and face the problem. In Kiribati, creating the resilient village here right now to stop this problem is actually telling the world that we can stay in Kiribati. We don't have to move. And the owner of this place has just so happy and has given us this place. Say, please do what you can do to make sure that we can live on it again. In the next maybe 10 years, we can come back to that land and live on it. So this is where we live. We're still trying to adapt in this office, but it's our resilient village, and we're going to bring in all the different projects on this land: the energy project, the water, the planting of food, and resilient. We have some people that are willing to donate and to build a floating garden, a floating maneba. Maneba is our hall, meeting halls, but we need to create something for people to understand that we can survive, that we can adapt. Our houses have to see a construction that is adaptation construction, you know, and not today people are still building on the ground. I say, why? We shouldn't. Everybody should be above the ground. So that's some of the work that we're doing right now, building the resilient villages and restructuring all our community-based organizations on Tarawa. You know, we used to work with 100. We thought it's many, but today, this year, we restructure all the community-based groups, and we found that there are 700 communities on Tarawa. And so that's the work that we were doing right now. For the time being, we are busy with working with the COVID, climate change and COVID on Tarawa, trying to work with 700 communities. We're almost over, finished. When we do the restructuring, it's easy to do the work. Yeah, so that's what I can share with us right now. We do have problems, but we feel that the solutions is in our hands. We can choose to adapt or we choose to leave. And for us in Kiribati, our government say, the previous government say we can migrate with dignity. Today, if you ask any Kiribati, you want to migrate? Oh yes, we want to move. You want to move for good? No. We want to move and come back. This is our home. We always want to come back to Kiribati. Without Kiribati, then we are. No, what do we say about ourselves? How can we identify ourselves in a foreign country? So that's what we're doing right now. We're not just doing for our Kiribati here. We are doing it for our Kiribati, our diaspora outside of Kiribati, who are living in New Zealand, in Australia. Without these tiny, small, vulnerable islands, they will have nothing, you know? They will lose their identity. That's why we are here, keeping it for them to make sure they will return home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pelani, for your inspiring remarks and reminding us that of your resilience and your passion for climate action. We might have enough time for our final speaker, Paisley Tai, who is from the Kingdom of Tonga. Paisley was born and grew up in the Kingdom of Tonga. She works for the mainstreaming of Rural Development Innovation Tonga Trust as a disaster response coordinator. In this role, she is assisting the team by implementing activities to enhance community capacity and improve their resilience towards the impacts of climate change. So Pesi, if you can hear us, perhaps we could try and if you could address us live. If not, then we can go to the audio recording. Pesi, can you hear us?
Pacey is on mute.
Pacey, you're on mute. So perhaps Pacey has been having a little bit of internet connection issues. So Pacey, can you hear us? So perhaps if we could share, Pacey has recorded a recording for us in case there were any internet connections. So perhaps if we could share that, Florence or Elsa.
Yes. I have the recording, so we will listen to the pre-recorded message from Pesi. Oh, Pesi, are you able to connect, or should I start playing the recording? Okay, I'm going to start playing the recording then.
Dear distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure to share with you how Tonga impacts
your screen.
In general, there are many problems that climate change causes for Tonga, such as drought, extreme weather patterns, rising sea
Florence,
levels.
we can't see your screen, Florence.
Sorry?
We can't see your screen.
There's no video. It's an audio only recording.
Okay.
Or do we have Pesi on the line?
Maybe you want to start again, please.
Okay, I'd be happy to start the recording again. So this is an audio only recording from Pesi. Okay, I will start the recording once again. Thank you everyone for your patience. So Again, this is a recording sent in advance for PESI.
Dear distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure to share with you how Tonga impacted by the climate change. In general, there are many problems that climate change causes for Tonga, such as drought, extreme weather patterns, rising sea levels, and dying coral reefs. You may have heard about tropical cyclone Kita, a storm which hit Tonga in early 2018. Tropical cyclone Kita was a massive Category 4 cyclone that was the largest storm to hit Tonga in the previous years. It caused massive damage, especially to Tongatapu, but also one of our islands called Ewa. Storms like Kita are becoming more and more common as the climate warms. Just this year, Tropical Cyclone Harold Category 5 storm hit Tonga and again devastated both Tongatapu and Ewa Island. While we are doing everything we can prepare for intense weather patterns in the future, it is clear that not only a large cyclones occurring more frequently, they are becoming even more severe. Thankfully, Cyclone Kita hit Tonga just as we were experiencing a low tide, so flooding was as minimal as possible under the circumstances. Unfortunately, Cyclone Harold did not hit during low tide, and flooding caused significant damage, especially to the only wharf near Ewa. The second issue caused by climate change in Tonga is that most of the islands that make up Tonga are only a few meters above sea level. Because of this, rising sea levels are a serious concern. Should another large cyclone hit Tonga, a likely possibility at high tide, instead of low, the damage caused would be exponentially higher. There is also the basic consideration that after just a few decades of rising sea levels, much of Tonga could be underwater. This is a major problem in a country that relies so heavily on agriculture and is already in desperate need of arable land. Another component of the damage climate change causes to the countries like Tonga is the accelerating rate of the thefts of coral reef. Tonga is highly dependent on fishing, both commercially and subsistence. As the oceans become increasingly warmer and more acidic, reefs like the ones surrounding all Tonga Islands die out. This in turn kills fish and plants that live in the reefs. The damage this would cause directly to the Tongan fishing industry, but also indirectly to the Proto-Tongan ecosystem, is effectively incalculable. All these issues are not only serious concerns that could jeopardize the Kingdom of Tonga, they are immediate, pressing concerns that need to be dealt with now. Storms continue to get more powerful, sea levels continue to rise, and coral reefs continue to die every minute that we sit and discuss climate change without taking action. We face a tremendous challenge. Not only do we need to find solutions to the problem of climate change, we need the entire world to join and make a better world for all of us. Tonga is a small country. We could reach a net carbon emissions of 0 tomorrow, and it would change nothing in the face of global momentum behind climate change. But Tonga does not have the luxury of debating the existence of climate change or whether it is fair to force countries to pursue sustainable energy solutions. We need a global coalition of countries across the spectrum of size and economic development committed to immediate action if small Pacific island nations like Tonga are to survive. Thank you.
Okay, Pacey, are you there? Can you hear us?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great
Thanks, Florence. I can see Pacey's still on the line, but she's on mute. So perhaps if we could move on to the breakout rooms, and we might have an opportunity to ask questions of Pacey a little bit later or within the breakout rooms. So Florence, can I get you to organise that, please?
So I've opened up the breakout rooms and you should be able to go automatically. But if you're joining in from your phone, just move one screen and click on the button.